Today we're going to be discussing cloud computing so that the cloud computing doesn't rain on your IT environment. We will be discussing a few topics related to cloud computing to give you a basic overview of this subject. Firstly, what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of compute, database, storage, applications, and other IT infrastructure required to deliver a cloud computing system and its resources. This takes away from traditional hardware or software installations on individual devices. Cloud computing can also be thought of utility computing or on-demand computing because this computing services is available across all users within an IT environment at any time or any point within a day. The first benefit of cloud computing is cost savings. Instead of investing heavily within data centers and servers to run certain applications, you can pay already existing cloud service providers to use their cloud environments. The second is massive economies of scale. Many cloud service providers have an existing infrastructure in place. You'll never have the same purchasing power as an established cloud provider. They have their own servers, networking gear, and own storage array, which you can then buy into. The third is elastic capacity. You are most likely to buy too much or too little capacity, which can lead to wasted money or downtime. Cloud can scale with your business needs with no long-term contracts. An increase in speed and agility due to its serverless architecture, it can scale infinitely with demand. There's no cost in running and maintaining data centers because the cloud service provider would handle these processes for you. The last one is going global within minutes. Easily deploy your application in multiple regions around the world. This enables you to provide lower latency and a better experience for your customers at a minimal cost. These are not the only benefits of cloud computing, but just some of the ones that we wanted to focus on. There are three main cloud computing types. The first is infrastructure as a service. This is where a service provider hosts servers, storage, and other individual resources over the internet, which allows you to manage the server, which can be either virtual or physical, as well as the operating system. Usually the data center provider will have no access to that server. The second is platform as a service. In this model, a third-party provider hosts app development platforms and tools on its own infrastructure, available to customers over the internet. These are used for general software development. The cloud service provider manages the underlying hardware and operating systems. You can just focus on the application, do not need to manage the security, patching, updates, and maintenance. The last is software as a service. This is most encountered at the consumer level. It is the software distribution from a third-party provider. This makes applications available over the internet like Microsoft Office 365. All you need to worry about is actually using the software. The topic of hot discussion at the moment is the risks around a cloud environment. We have broken these down into four main sections. Looking at the first one, organizational risks. And here you need to consider the IT governance and the policies and plans in order to manage that cloud environment. This will then be transparent to the IT governing bodies, the local laws, and IT audit. The second is just complying to the local industrial regulations. And when we're talking about local industrial regulations within South Africa, we need to think the POPI Act. And this relates to the privacy of data, which has become a topic of hot discussion as to how we collect certain information and where this information is stored. The third is in-house IT specialists regarding does the cloud service provider have the right specialists to maintain the cloud environment? And do we have specialists in-house to understand the cloud environment? The third is business continuity and resilience, which relates to the resiliency of the cloud service provider. And the last is risk planning and management over that environment. The second main subcategory of risks is operational, and this relates to financial issues, so budgeting appropriately for cloud solutions to be implemented or outsourced, understanding the system's users who will be using the system, and the reliability of that service provided. We have to ensure that stringent service level agreements are in place in order to maintain and manage the third-party vendor appropriately. The third is the technical risks, and this really comes down to the data quality and maintenance and the data integrity. We need to ensure that our data is not being tampered with or no unauthorized changes are being made to this data. It also comes down to the data security, which is managed within our cybersecurity risk areas. Technical risks also refers to the system performance and integration. Integration referring to how that system is integrated with current, legacy systems, and other cloud solutions. System performance just refers to, does that cloud solution need constant maintenance, and what happens when there's downtime. The last is legality risks. We've touched on the POPI Act, and that is one big thing to consider here, is the data privacy you're collecting of customers and how this impacts business. The second is intellectual property, to ensure that your data being collected is only available to you and cannot be distributed to other businesses using that cloud service provider. And the last is ensuring there's stringent contracts between yourself, your IT specialists, and the cloud service providers. Applications within the financial services industry are not limited. We've just broken down into 3 really cool initiatives that we felt are applicable here. The first is financial services company using a cloud to power real-time fraud detection and prevention software. The second is how cloud computing assists financial service industries to meet regulatory reporting requirements and providing reporting solutions. And the third is migrating to the cloud allows companies to access more data power, thus enabling digital transformation throughout the organization. Thank you for listening to our brief introduction to what cloud computing is. Hopefully we've gotten your head out of the clouds.